My French-Italian friend said to me the other day that I was a fuel, and I said, that's not true. I wouldn't be able to sustain a car. Boo! Hello everybody and welcome back to some more FTB Skies. You all remember the last video. I obtained the creative items. I still have no idea what on earth the waxing kit's supposed to do. Like, I mean, it doesn't really wax anything. So, I don't know, maybe it's like something specific to its own mod pack, but other than that, I can't figure the dang thing out. But the flight module, on the other hand, is a different story. I did figure out what I'm supposed to do with that. So, in order to utilize it, I'm going to need this thing right here called an environmental controller. So, in order to get that, I'm going to need this block of emerald, because for some reason I never changed this out for a compacting drawer. Not sure why I never did that, but either way though, now we can then just go ahead and then make ourselves a machine frame, one of the many machine frames, and there we go, we got ourselves the environmental controller. Why is it so big in the hand? Why? What is it compensating for? Okay, I guess we'll just put this there. And now it's a normal block size, what the crap? That's so strange. Okay, well the power looks just fine, so then we can just throw this into there. And then it should work just fine. I don't have any flight on me, so... Yes, it works! Oh my gosh, you can't see it, but at the bottom right of the screen, there's actually a little thing right down here that shows like the little flight module symbol. Oh my gosh, that's so cool. Okay, so now within a certain radius, I will be able to fly as high as I want. So, wait a minute. If I put this to 170, then 100... will this now work? Oh dear! Okay, now it's not utilizing so much power. So yeah, okay. 170 was just a little bit much for it. So then, I guess after I get like a certain amount of blocks away from it, like about 100 blocks away from it, so let's see. It's currently at -22, so if I fly back this way until I reach 122, I should fall. I'm over here. I'm at 122. And I can still fly. Oh, no, I can't. No, I very much cannot. Oh. Oh, yes, I forgot about the flamingo. Okay, so it only works within the radius of my base. That is slightly annoying, but you know what? I think I will take it. So then it should give it back to me. It's giving it back to me. Yes, it gave it back to me. Okay, there we go. We have obtained creative flight. I mean... It's kind of a drawback because I can only use it in the base, but very soon I will be obtaining another way to do it. Once I reach the end of this line, I will be able to get the ability totem for flight, because I get the feeling that the Feed the Beast hardlocked it, so that way that's the only way you can get it. I'm not entirely sure though, but either way, we're that close, I'm honestly not caring much anymore. So, okay. Flight without having to eat the fruits, at least here. That's good. I also went ahead and then set up a little trash can thing to get rid of everything I don't want, being pretty much anything that's not the crying obsidian and gem dust. I actually already have enough of the crying obsidian though, which is a very interesting thing. So if I go over and find it, yeah, right here, it just needs 128, which is 2 stacks of it. So yeah, this whole one thing right here, I already put in the nether stars and I already put in 1,000 blaze rods. This one's done. And my ether gas is almost halfway done too, so that is super freaking good. I think I'll definitely have that done very, very soon. So yeah, then I guess I don't really need the crying obsidian anymore, but I'll keep it lying around just in case I need it for something a little bit more later. Okay, now time for a very gruesome process. So then, as you can clearly see, I've been on a little bit of a trend here. I've been obtaining all the powers and the fluids, and even after the 100 billion FE thing, I am currently almost done with that, so that would mean I would have all the power tasks done. But I do not have this one going, the liquid DT fuel. This is a problem, and also, it's not actually going to be as complicated as you might think. It's just going to be a very big process. So in order to get the liquid DT fuel, we're going to need DT fuel. In order to get DT fuel, we're going to need Deuterium. I'm not going to try and pronounce that. In order to get that, we need to electrolytically separate heavy water. Heavy water can be obtained with our little pumps, being these things right here with a special upgrade in them to turn water into heavy water. So yeah, that one's pretty much the easiest one. But then we get to the tritium, which is the bigger process. So in order to get that, we need lithium, which means we're going to need liquid lithium, which means we're going to need to give ourselves a thermal evaporation machine, which means we're going to need brine, which means we're going to need that same machine, which means we're going to need water. So yes, this is a huge process. Now, luckily, I've already made a few of the machineries that I'm going to need for this whole thing to work out properly, but I do still need a few things. One of these things being is going to be the solar neutron activator. Now, this thing on its own isn't really that bad. I was going to be making 3 of them, but it seems I ran out of something. No need to panic, it was just the steel. I was already smelting some more of that anyways. So, there we go. Now we've got that. But then we run into this little thing. Now, all these things are over here. You can see it beforehand. I'll make those off screen. But firstly, it's this HDPE sheets, which takes HDPE pellets, which then needs this whole thing. I already made the HDPE pellets, though, but each one of these takes 1 sheet. I'm going to need 3 of them, so I'm going to make it much more efficiently by only using up 3 right here inside of my enrichment chamber. And it takes up 3, and then it makes 1 sheet. Much more efficient. Alrighty, and now we've got everything all ready, and there we go. We got ourselves the solar neutron activator. But now we have almost everything ready for what we are going to need. So we are also going to need about, how many do I have of these things currently? I'm going to need 4. Okay, so I'm going to need 4 of these filter upgrades. 1, I can only hold 1 at a time. That is really annoying. And there we go. So then I can throw these things right into here as well. The last thing that we're going to need to craft before we get into anything else is going to be all of these things. Now, I'm going to need a lot of these thermal evaporation blocks, so that way I can make a thermal evaporation valve, so that way I can also make a thermal evaporation controller. And keep in mind, this multi-block structure that we are going to construct, I'm going to need 2 of them, because it's going to be a process for multiple things. So, this is going to take quite a bit. So, with 1 copper and then 4 steel, I do get 4 of these things. So that is a pretty good amount. And then we're also going to use 4 of these just to make 1 evaporation valve. I'm also going to need an advanced controller. I'm not sure how many of these valves I'm going to need, though, so we will find that out shortly. And then finally, we're going to need 2 of these screens. I said 2 of them. Oh, wait, I need more of this. And there we go. Now we have everything that we are going to need to be able to set up this structure for it. Alrighty, so I've made myself a little infinite water source over on this huge little island that I've made right over here. So, on this water source, we can go ahead and grab out the electric pumps, and then we just need to place these. I don't know if I can put them. Yeah, I don't want them to be in the water. They need to be over it, so I need to, like, put blocks around these points to be able to place them. Here we go. Now we have the 4 points of water all being contained. So then we just need to put these little flux points right here, and then I connect all of these things to the non-toxic gas. Actually, I'm going to put these ones on the wind one, actually, because there's pretty much nothing being used for that, so I might as well just put these on that one. Oh, and I didn't think about this. It's sucking up the water. I don't want it to suck up the water, because I need it to turn into heavy water, which is why I made these filter upgrades. So I shouldn't have actually powered these things yet. That is mighty unfortunate. Oh well, lesson learned. At least I only did half of them. Alrighty, these things are now consuming the heavy water. That is really good. So I can also make these things like speed and energy upgrades, but I also noticed that with the wind power, these things don't do really well with that. And also, in order to get the Deuterium from this stuff, it only takes 2 millibuckets for it to work. And then when it comes to like the actual DT fuel, it only takes 1 millibucket to work for it to make 2 with these 2 things mixed together. So with 4 of these things all converging at once in order to be able to make this stuff, it's really not that big of an issue. So I think this will work out just fine. So then now what we can do is we can take a pipe onto all 4 of these things, and then I'm going to need to use a wrench to turn all of them on. Oh, that needs to be that way. I keep forgetting I can't use that wrench for these things. So now I can just pipe all of those things up like so, and then I can put this one on any one of those, and now it's filling up with the heavy water. And then the right one makes oxygen, so I want that one to be on dumping excess, And then I can also go ahead and then grab myself another plug, or I could just put some points or stuff like that, but I think I'm just gonna do a plug. Put that one right on the back, and then this one I will connect to the non-toxic gas, and there we go. Now we're getting ourselves the Deuterium. And I can always just speed this thing up with as many upgrades as I'd like. I'm definitely going to get a muffling upgrade, though. I'll be right back with that. Ah, sweet silence. And of course it's silent, because I've already maxed out the Deuterium. So, yeah, that's actually really good. And all the heavy water keeps on pumping into here. So once that's done, these things will then begin to fill up as well. So, yeah, that's the beauty of this thing. It's all backing up, and it doesn't affect me in the slightest. So now that we have the Deuterium, the next thing we're going to need is the Tritium. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to have a thing out like this, and then just have it basically be a little 4x4 area. And then over here, okay, wait a minute, this one is about right there, so then I want to put this one right here for symmetry. Then what we're going to need is we're going to need to put the controllers on these points right here, keeping with the symmetry, you know, and then I can go ahead and put, I'm not sure if I want these here or if I want them somewhere else. I mean, you know what? This is for the water anyways, so I guess I can put these things right here. And then after that, I can go ahead and then build this thing up just a little ways. I don't think this needs to be sealed up at the top. I'm uncertain, but I think once I reach like a collective point, like about 3, yeah, now the multi-block structure is formed. So this is what this thing's gonna look like on the inside. Okay, so I don't think I need to seal up the top. Now that being said though, the bigger I make this things, the better it's going to be. So I guess I can go ahead and fill these things out like evenly. So I'll put this one about 3 more times, and then I can do the same for this one. No, I can't actually. That one's gonna be smaller because I don't have enough of this stuff. I'm gonna grab some more. Alrighty, there we go. I should have more than enough for that. And there we go. Now these things are even. Now, it's currently at a block height of 6. I think the max height I can do is about 18, but currently I don't really see a purpose in doing that. So I will not. So, now that we have those things, we can go ahead and then pump water in them through these things. And just so we're clear, I couldn't actually make the heavy water from the sinks. I did try that, so yeah, that's mighty unfortunate. Oh, wait a minute, something has just occurred to me. I only actually need 1 sink, because this thing is the one that's going to accumulate the water, and then that'll make brine, and then this one will make the liquid lithium. So I'm actually going to need 2 more of these valves. Okay, then I guess I'll go grab some more of that, and it is raining, so when I'm back, it won't be. Alrighty, so it's still raining, but I just decided to make another rain shield for it, so there we go. Okay, so now what I need to do is I need to put these valves here and here, and then those things should be sealed off. Okay, so this valve is going to be what exports the brine into here in this one, and then this one is where we're going to take out the liquid lithium to deconcentrate it into normal lithium. So I guess what we need to do is just go ahead and get started with this point. So I just need to put water into there, and then it's just going to start filling itself up. Now, it does need like a certain amount of heat to start working, but I think after a bit, it should just start to turn it into the stuff. Okay, so I've actually figured out what I did wrong. So those things actually won't heat up on their own. They need external sources. And the best one that I found seems to be this recessive heater. So I'm going to end up needing 2 of these. So I'm going to need to grab 2 of all of this stuff. And then I can go ahead and then make these. They do not stack. And there we go. And then I'm also going to need these things right here. I'm not going to need to make it any more than once because it only seems to be 8. Okay, cool. Now, I am also going to need some of these universal cables, which are basically the power thing from the mechanism mod itself. And the reason I'm going to actually need these things is because this is what allows me to hook up itself into the drains. Oh gosh, I went up here. So I can actually stick this thing onto the port itself, but I cannot, and vice versa, stick anything else onto it. Like this thing, that doesn't work. It needs to specifically be this thing right here. Although I do wonder if I can like hook it up to the thing like directly, like having this thing right there, but I don't want to test that. So we're just going to put this thing right down here, and then, actually wait, why did I even grab this? Wait, but I could just put a flux point right onto these things, because I know for a fact that does work, so... Why did I make these? Well, who knows? Either way, though, if we put this into there, it'll then start to produce heat. And that heat should be able to go into here, and yes, it is. Now, it is pretty slow because I don't have that much going in it at once, because I would need to, you know, increase this thing. I think I can actually set it manually. I just don't know entirely how to do that, and I think that does use up a little bit more power than I need to. And also, I'm not really using this for anything too specific. I just need 100 buckets of this, and it's already going to be, like, a really slow process. So I think I can work with this alone. Of course, once I do end up getting, like, a fission reactor, I will definitely make this thing, like, as fast as I can, just for the heck of it. Okay, you know what? Actually, let's experiment. Let's set this thing up to about 10, and then click that. Oh, wait, it was already at 40. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, so then 40 was where it was good. So then let's set it to 60 instead. And yeah, it's definitely moving a little bit faster. Okay, very, very neat. So then I can do the same thing over on this side, and that will be good. Now, before I do turn that one on, I am going to want to hook these things up. So if I take this right over to here, no, and then we meet in the middle. There we go. And then I can go ahead and then set this thing to export. It should take out the brine. Yes, it is. And then the brine goes into here. Now I can go ahead and then power this thing, and then it starts turning into liquid lithium. And I can set this thing to 60 as well, and there we go. It's all going well and good. And yeah, we're already almost at a whole bucket of the liquid lithium. So yeah, just imagine how fast this would be if I had everything at its max tier. It's already going pretty decently. This is actually really, really awesome. Okay, so firstly, we put, oh, hey, the lithium's being made. We put this thing in here, and then we set this thing to the non-toxic gas. And then we put the rotary thing right here, so that way it's getting powered, and it does not ruin the symmetry. So then we need to go into the configurations. The top side is input, but if the right being output is no bueno. We don't want that. We want the left to be output. So now we can just put this thing right here, and then send that into here, and it should be on the other way. Okay, yeah, it is. So now the liquid lithium is being decondensed into normal lithium. I can't speak, by the way. Decondensated. Yeah, we're gonna call that decondensated. So basically, all of it is going to be converted into the stuff that we need right here. Then right up here in the front, we're going to need to grab the backpack right here, and then we can go ahead and then take these solar panels. We're just gonna call them solar panels, and then put them right here in the dead center between all three of these. Now, lithium is a gas, so I am going to need to go ahead and make gas pipes instead of the other pipes. So I can go ahead and then take that one there, and it is connected, so it will work, and I can put that all throughout here, and then once I connect this to these, it should start converting the lithium into the other thing. Now, unfortunately, I don't think these will work in the nighttime because, you know, they're solar panels. So I am going to have to go to sleep and then make it work in the day, which is unfortunate because I don't think there's any other way I can actually get the proper lithium. Or no, not lithium, the tritium, because it actually needs to be like this, and this only works in the day. So that is unfortunate. Yeah, all well and rested. So now, if I go over here, it should all be working very properly. And yes, it is. Each one of these already has a full bucket of tritium. 3 of them. Try. I love it. Believe it or not, that actually was not my intent to do. I am realizing, however, that I probably should have put this closer to all of that. I was just expecting this to end up being a lot farther away than it really was. Oh well, so what we can then do is we can just take this thing out, and I don't have like any, you know, things to be able to transport gases enderly, so this is going to have to be like this. I guess I can just sort of draw this off towards the center of the island, so we can just, you know, get rid of all of these things. This is the builder. Go ahead and put a dirt block here, and then right here, right in the center, I'm going to need to put the chemical infuser, which should be this thing right here, and then I put this right there. And then on the left one, it should be the... Go ahead and, like, send it all the way back there. And then if I put that right there, it should all start going into here. Yes, indeed it is. So then after that, I can connect all of these things together and then have it connecting all the way over to this one. And then I just need to configure all of these to output. Nope, I want that connected. And there we go. Now the tritium is going in. So then all that remains is to power this bad boy. And luckily for me, I now have a flex point because I forgot to get rid of the thing. And then with all of this together, we now have the DT fuel. And something has occurred to me. I only made one of these things, and I'm going to need another one, because in order to get the 100 buckets achievement down here in the overpowered, it needs to be liquid DT fuel. Okay, so I can put this thing right here. The DT fuel is going into it, and then I can probably just take this thing like this, and then I can just configure it all like that. And there we go. Now this thing is converting it into liquid DT fuel. There we go. It is all completely automated. Like I said, it wasn't as complicated as it seems at first if you're like just looking at this at first glance. But once you know what you're doing, it's actually pretty simple. I mean, not simple spacing-wise, especially if you're an idiot like me. But other than that, it's all pretty good. So then finally what we can do, we can take this task screen, and then I'm going to need to go to the task for the 100 buckets of DT fuel. There we go. And then I need to go into here, go into fluids, make sure that the outside is output, and then I should be able to take this right there and then configure it all to start going into here. And there we go. We already have a bucket of it, and considering that all this stuff has been running like it has, it's only been a good, like, 10 minutes maybe? So, yeah, I think we'll be able to have the 100 buckets of this in no time. And you know what? We may very well have it just before the Aether gas. We'll see what happens. You know, we'll call it a race. Tortoise and the hairstyle. This thing's been moving very slow. This thing's been moving very fast. Of course, the tortoise got a head start, so let's see what happens. Let me know down in the comments. Which do you think I will reach before the other one? 100 buckets of Aether gas or 100 buckets of liquid DT fuel? Let me know. Now, just to make sure that this whole thing is always running, I'm going to need to go into the claimed chunks and then just claim absolutely everything in this little area and then chunk load all of them. Now, luckily, these things appear to be in one chunk. I am going to make sure just in case. Yes, they actually are. That's super helpful, actually. Now that I look at this, though, I definitely could have fit all of this in just one chunk. That's rather unfortunate that I ended up doing it like this, but you know what? That's fine. So you all can learn from my mistake in case you ever want to do this yourselves. Now, as for what DT fuel is actually used for outside of all of this, I'm not entirely sure. I do believe it has something to do with the fusion reactor, though, which if we go into the mechanism thing, would be this process right over here. But I don't know how that works. I do know how fission reactors work, though, and that's why this confuses me. So why I'm confused is because the next thing on this task would be the polonium pellet, but to get polonium, you need a fission reactor. So I'm not sure how that's supposed to work the way they're saying it, but you know what? We'll figure it out when we get there. And I will be doing that very soon. I just haven't really prepared an area for the reactor yet, because if that thing explodes, it gets really bad. You'd see if you watch Stone Block 3. Oh my gosh, we already have 7 buckets of DT fuel just stuck in here waiting to be transformed. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I'm definitely going to need to, like, give all these things, like, speed upgrades and all of that, but you know what? No, that's cheating. I'm not going to give these things any upgrades other than muffling, so that way the race is still very fair. We're already at 4 buckets. Oh boy, I'm rooting for the DT, everybody. I gotta tell you that. And the last thing that I want to do for now is going to be getting all 32 of this gem dust, which fortunately, while recording, I did actually achieve. There we go. All in all, I think that these endgame achievements are actually a lot less of a problem than I initially thought they were going to be. Because I remember when I was first looking at these things, I was just like, oh dear. So yeah, all in all, this is gonna be real good. I think we've been having a lot of fun with this pack, and very soon, probably not next video, because there is a lot to go into it, I will be making myself a fission reactor. So let's go ahead and mark off all of these achievements actually wasn't really much that I got. And all that being said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my last FTB Skies video. Bye-bye!